Yes, wonderful. So, hello everyone, the FashTech Hub community. Thanks for joining us today. So, we are so delighted to have Vincent Djen, the co-founder of Remakehub. So today, Vincent is going to share his insights on the fashion evolved in the next 5 years. And before Vincent starts his presentation, I would like to introduce Vincent to let you know a bit about him. I guess some of you probably have already met him or talked to him before, but Vincent basically is a co-founder of Remakehub, a startup that's focused on turning waste into valuable products and then materials for the apparel and plastic industry. And he has over 16 years of experience in the textile and fashion industry. So, he's very senior expert on this in this field. And he also served as a director of Cheng Garments. Is a 40 years old family business that focuses on garment products for premium brands using sustainable material and processes. So, as you know, that fashion industry will have a lot of challenges to solve, and then I believe that Vincent will have his observations and then his insights on this. So let's welcome Vincent. Hello, Vincent.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hello.
Yeah, Vincent. So we can see that on the screen that we have your title about today's talk is how will sustainable fashion evolve in the next 5 years. So would you like to share your presentation file or
Yeah,
this
I
is
will.
the
I'll start the
already
sharing. Yeah.
okay.
Okay. So I will start. Okay. Thanks, Cheng. Okay. So yeah, today I'm going to talk about how will sustainable fashion evolve in the next 5 years. It's actually a very big title, but I want to break it down into what I'm thinking, how I'm coming to this thought, because I'm working in this field for quite some time, and want to share some of my what I see and experience share, and how that would, I think, develop into how the sustainable fashion will evolve. Okay, so my background. Yes, I've been in this industry for over 16 years now, and co-founder of Remakehub here in Shanghai. So we're a startup focusing on turning waste into something valuable. So particularly in the textile and plastic industry. So we will turn the plastics into like panels and so on for interior designs, and textiles we do turn them into fibers and so on. And I also have a family business. It's Cheng Garments, CKG in short. So it's a 47 years old family business. So we produce for many premium European brands. There's many in Scandinavia. So been working with them for a long time, and very focused on sustainability and so on. So I'm also do a lot of mentoring. So I did it for Fashion for Good, German Accelerator, Startupbootcamp, and Xno, etc. So you can always find my name on LinkedIn if you have LinkedIn. Yeah. Okay, so let's start. So sustainable fashion, it's becoming like a buzzword now, right? And all these things I'm showing here, like carbon neutral, bio-based, biodegradable, organic. We talked about organic cotton earlier, recycled, resell. We're having a lot of buzzword here in the sustainable fashion, it seems like, and it's you cannot say it's bad or it's good. It's just how we're evolving. We're people are very focusing on. Sometimes some people are very focusing on carbon neutral. Some startups are very focusing on bio-based. Some companies are focusing on the whole circular thing. But sometimes it's it's very buzzword. It's not very everybody, it seems like, working together. Now, why I say that is because the demand is still growing. So this is something from Lansing, from their recent report in May. It says the global fiber demand is continuously growing. You can see that. So if we are going to achieve our 1.5 degrees goal, our sustainable goals that many companies set out, or our government set out, how are we going to do that? Because the demand for fiber is still rising. People are still buying more and more. And you have these buzzwords earlier, you have bio-based, you have recycle, carbon neutral, all these things. But is it really getting to there? And actually we're having some new problems we're facing. Just some examples I want to share here. Like, everybody probably playing with Midjourney now. I use Midjourney to make a background for my Zoom chat room. Thought it would be it's valuable for that. But if we think about digital tech, we're supposed to be using digital tech for human, not replace human. Digital tech should be tech for good. It should increase our income, create jobs, and make the society better, right? That's why we have that term, tech for good. But it seems like these AI tools or virtual tools, it may, especially AI tools like Midjourney, it may actually replace a lot of the creative jobs. I've known a fashion brand. They actually lay off 3 people in their design team, their graphics design team, because they started using Midjourney. And the founder told me that it's yeah, because they don't need that many people, because Midjourney can do a lot of jobs that it's more efficient, so they don't need as many people anymore. So what is that tech for good part for Midjourney? Aren't we supposed to be designing tech solutions that for human, not to replace human, right? I think this is something that we should think about. I'm no expert in this. I think some people can maybe help us to can answer that, how it can be for human, not replace human. And also, like in our picture here is a virtual garment. So how is this virtual garment, this virtual sampling can help? Because it speeds up sampling. It makes sampling easier. We don't have to send things back and forth. So that's a great part. Like, I'm using it in my company, that we send this clothes to our these styles to our clients, and they don't first, and so they can make some comments and do some alteration, and then we send the actual samples. So it decreased the samples, but does it really make it's more circular? Maybe, maybe not, because it's only plays one part of the whole chain, right? So if we're gonna make this tech for good, for better for the society, what angle, how can we make this tool more sustainable for the society? I mean, it less saves time and money. It saves samples, so there's less pollution and greenhouse gases and so on, because there's less transportation. But what other aspects can it really help decrease the demand for things? Because I have worked on some projects where designers made a virtual garment and then they produce a real one. So you are producing more too. But is that good or bad? Are we supposed to create less? So this is something we need to think about. I think this is something we need to work at as a whole industry together, up and down the value chain, right? Another big popular topic right now is vegan leather. Here I'm showing some samples of vegan leather. Vegan leather is great. I'm working with some startups, doing some mentoring with them that are on vegan leather. Even before, we have done some research on that also. It's great because it helps lower carbon footprint, right? Compared to the animals leather, right? And it potentially can use less chemicals for the tanning, dyeing, and so on. But what about the end of life of it? Same thing with leather. These things biodegradable. If it's biodegradable, we're gonna degrade it. Like, is it really gonna degrade in backyards? That's really up in the air, right? Okay, it can be compostable. So, but how? Where are you gonna compost it? That's a big question. We don't really have supply chains to compost these things, right? So, the next thing maybe we need to answer is, okay, what is the end of life? How about the reuse and the end of life of it, right? So this is something we need to think about, right? The next thing is secondhand. Secondhand is great. It's because it extends the life of the product, right? But does it really solve the overproduction problem? Because, well, you think there's secondhand, there's these dead stocks things, and then people can there's an outlet for it, right? But does it really solve that overproduction? You can argue it may, because people buy more secondhand, so you don't need to produce new ones, right? Yeah, that's of course that's right, right? But what about the end of life of it? That's another thing, okay? Because the clothes are really worn, and then there's no more use, so that you need to downcycle and so on. There's still ways out. What is the best downcycling option? Is there any out there? So it seems like it's still kind of solving one problem, but not the whole thing, right? Just kind of like the vegan leather. It solves carbon footprint part, but what about the other part? And this is microplastic. We hear a lot about that. I actually have done some tests on microfibers of a piece of fabrics, and it does sheds. The test results that after the test, it sheds like 0.003 or 5% of the weight of the fabric. Wow, that's quite a lot. And you see, the microplastic fiber is defined as 1.6 micrometer to 5 millimeters. So it's quite wide range. Now, washing does create this microfiber release. I mean, even when you wash cotton or other things, that's just how it is. So what's the impact, and what are we gonna do with it? That's a big question, right? A lot of times it's, okay, we have this problem, and how are we going to with it? And what is interesting in my finding is that I want to find some solutions. I want to see some testings and more data about it. But that just seems like we talk a lot about microplastic fiber, but that's not much. I think ecosystem, the right word, community around it, like solutions, testings, and standards, and what is a lot, what is less. I mean, after I did the test, I asked the testing house, it's like, is that a lot or less? They don't know. So how we define that, right? We still need to. So it means there's still a lot of work needs to be done, right? Now, when you talk about these things, you may think it's like, okay, some of it may sound like greenwashing, right? The vegan leather, some people think it's leather. It's from it's a byproduct or waste from the food industry. So it's a way of reusing resources. It's an open loop recycling. Yeah, I agree with that. It's true. But a lot of times I think not all the greenwashing is intentional. It's not really bad, right? It's because it's really hard. When we as an entrepreneur, as we try to make a business model out of it, out of what we're working on sustainability. And in sustainability, there's a few different business model. There's a platform based, there's circular based, there's like community based, and you always have to, when you're doing a business, you always have the survival of the business. Okay, so You have you work on something in the lab and you think it's good enough and you release it to the market. But is that addition really sustainable, better than the current solution? I think so, of course, it will be better, but maybe on one aspect, but not on many aspects, right? So sometimes you have to, as entrepreneurs, we always struggle. It's like how much time we spend in the lab, that product or solutions in the lab, versus when I should take it to the market, because it may not be that great. It may not solve a lot of the issues, but it solves some issue. But is it really, we should bring it out to the market, because it may not be, maybe some people will think it's greenwashing. So you already have this constant struggle in your mind, right? Something, what's good enough, what is not good enough, when I should release it, because at the end of the day, you need to make a sustainable business out of it, right? And if you look at a circular model, we just look at a circular model, we'd say it's about zero waste. In a perfect world, zero waste, extended product life, and you have that the stakeholder management. A lot of times people kind of forgot about that stakeholder management. When we talk about the stakeholder management, it's not just about your supplier or customers. There's the environment, right? There's also the community and the social part. Let's say, is it creating jobs? Would it affecting jobs? Would it negatively affect certain group of the people in the society? Of course, you can say they can retrain to other jobs, right? But and a lot of times, not all of them can be retrained, and a lot of people seriously will lose jobs out because of this. And there's certain sustainable material, maybe they solve certain one issue, but it may not solve the other. We have some great new, let's say, these vegan leather, the end of life. Well, you can say maybe we could recycle that. Okay, is there a recycle supply chain for it? Because there are some leather recycling supply chain out there, not for all leather, but there are some. But for vegan leather, they come from different materials. You can say it's composable. Well, do you have a supply chain for that? Is that vegan leather and that vegan letter A and vegan letter B are the same, that can be composed in the same place? Maybe not. And then we have a lot of new materials, functional materials coming. Well, what is the end of life? How are we going to treat that? How are we going to recycle that? Okay, but then you say, we're not perfect. We can only solve one problem. So that's the struggle, right? As an entrepreneur, as how you gonna balance between market ready and circular? We all want to be a good citizen. We all want to create a great circular business model. We want to be as sustainable as we can, but a lot of times business and the market doesn't allow you to do that, because you need to survive, right? So at the end is you ask the question is, in this model, how can you create a closed loop for the sustainable society? How are you going to do that? And when we look at one more thing is that the 6 R's or the 7 R's, and I sometimes think it's like, okay, it's always about reducing, it's about negative, but in reality, we need to restore the balance, right? Bring back to the balance and improve the system. So actually, we can no longer just talk about the 6, 7 R's. We need to add a couple new R's. Maybe that's the way that we need to think a system, as an entrepreneur, as a project leader. We need to think about how it's regenerating, or if it's not at the regenerating, we need to at least think about the restore part. How can bring back the balance, right? Once we maybe tackle that, we can think about how it can be regenerating, improving the system, let it grow again, let it thrive again. So that it's something that we should aim higher on, and that maybe can help us to think about all these issues we as entrepreneurial project manager will face when we're introducing a new material or solutions to the market, right? So at the end, I just want to wrap up is that no one can really solve the whole system problem. I cannot, but therefore we need to work together, right? We need to work with people in different aspect of the supply chain, the value chain, up and down. And then so we can solve the bigger problem together. And then so we can achieve that, the sustainable goals we can, because working alone, we cannot. If we can talk to more people, connect to up and down the stream people, it will open more opportunities, and it will see more blind spots that we didn't see before. And then we can find some improvements or some new solutions for it. So let's not forget it's all about the circular part and the R's, but while we still need to make money together. I think in the future of in the 5 years, the more and more people will think about is that regenerating, restoring the balance, and then we need to work as a whole together, up and down the supply chain, this value chain. We no longer can just work like, okay, I make something sustainable material or product. That's great, but I didn't think about how the end of life of it or the upstream part. So these are the things that we need to keep in mind. And I think only we have this in mind, being circular, always have that circular and the new R's, the restore and regeneration together, always have that in mind, but while making money out of it. I think that is where the future will go. And that's where we should always keep our mindset on and not deviate from that. Okay, so that's my quick sharing for today. Hope that you have it resonates with you, and I will open up for some questions.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Vincent. Yeah, well, Vincent has, proposed a lot of thought-provoking questions, and then we all have to consider, because there are really a lot of challenges in our world, especially in the fashion industry. But so feel free to ask questions, and then I would like to echo, Vincent's speaking about circular economy, is that how we need to work together to solve the bigger systematic problem. But I think perhaps we can think is the more on our business model. Perhaps we can think to consider the whole stakeholders as a positive or negative impact. Then perhaps for this, apart from the usual business model, if we consider about the impact, no matter it's positive or negative, then when we are doing this systematic design thinking from the beginning, then this whole circular economy could probably already from the original ideas, when you design all this, the whole process will be better than you solve the problem from the end, that what is already occurred. That's what what's your thought?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think we just need to have that design thinking and be open-minded, and so that we can keep on improving. Like I said, it's a lot of the greenwashing. It's not intentional. It's just we have blind spots in our thought process. So, and sometimes the people say it's greenwashing, but it makes people think, okay, what you're doing may be greenwashing, but it actually could push the industry further. So I think greenwashing is not all bad. There's good side out of it. Sometimes it's not intentional also. Yeah, and definitely just talk to different people up and down this value chain and find and you will learn a lot. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Hi, Vincent. It was really insightful, the whole presentation that you gave. First, thank you so much for that. And now my question. I'm from India, so like you said, a lot of fiber production is happening. It is constantly growing over the years. Even in the pandemic, it is growing. According to the latest reports, India is coming up as one of the biggest consumers of fashion retail,
Mhm.
and uh, that is mm, it is affecting the production of fabric as well. Matlab, it is giving into that same thing. So my question is, if a small scale business would want to create designs that are sourcing from the dead stock, will it come under ethical, sustainable fashion business?
Oh, okay. So it's about dead stocks, not the question. Actually, I'm working on some dead stock projects, and
Okay.
I think dead stocks is it's unfortunate there's so much dead stocks out there, but
Yes.
it's I think that it's an area that more and more brands are looking into. I'm working with a company called Queen of Raw in New York, and they are working on in the in the dead stock space, and I think definitely dead stocks is it's going to be one of the uh, important, but it's not something that a lot of people talk about. But it's always there, and I think there's more and more people will use dead stocks down the road.
Okay. I have one more question.
Mhm.
I'm so sorry I'm asking so many questions.
No worries, please
Okay,
go
so
ahead.
you were talking about not having 5 hours, having multiple hours, like reuse, repurpose, remodel, remanufacturing. So I want to ask the step of manufacturing
Mhm.
again from an existing garment.
Mhm.
So manufacturing from an existing garment, uh, will it be a feasible business model? Does it look like a feasible model for the next coming 5 years? Because dead stock and remanufacturing from existing garments has been in my head, and that is one of the reasons I attended today's meeting. Like, I want to know, because in Indian fashion sphere, like sustainable fashion is expensive, is really expensive. It's not easy for a common person or a middle class person to
Mhm.
acquire such pieces, and desirability always trumps, accessibility, matlab, like sustainability, and this person goes up and buys fast fashion. I want to bridge that gap. I am facing this problem. I face this problem every time I go out and buy something, and then I feel guilty, then I think how to repurpose this garment, then I think of doing this and that. But there is a huge gap between a common man's pocket and the sustainable garment that is out there, which is guilt free. So if a person opens up a business that repurposes already existing garment, will that be a feasible business model for the coming decade?
I can share some experience out here, and you
Please.
can see. I know a lot of friends doing in China. They're having small studios doing the remanufacturing of used garments. Um, there are some projects here and there. They found a business model where their clothes sells fairly well, sells okay at some of these uh, weekend flea market type of events in big cities. There's always some hip youngsters that like to buy those things. So they found a
Yes.
business model. So I think one from that lesson learned is finding the right business model. Where is your customer? So they found one. They're surviving. They're not making a lot of money, but they found a way to survive there. Okay. And there are companies thinking about remanufacturing. I have known there's one company, they helped Nike to remanufacture some of their old white sneakers and basically give them a new color. Okay. Oh, interesting. So it can help. So some big brands can do that. You can see, I think Eileen Fisher, they have something like that. Worn Again in the US, there are some companies that are able to do that, because there are some brands out there have that need. There are certain products that are easier to remanufacture into something new that people still want. Okay, I think that's the key. It's remanufacture something that people want to buy. It looks great. We have the freight tag, the bags in China. We have companies that repurpose. They use these old outdoor advertising, those canvas, and make them turn them into bags. They look nice. They look great. So it can create great products out of it. So it can be a viable business model from what I experience, I see out here. Of course, there are some that didn't work out. Some, the repurposed one didn't work out, maybe because they aim too wide of an audience. Some of them aim a more narrow audience. They focus on them and it worked out. And we have a history in the humanities clothing trade, textile trade. I think I read a book. They talk about India's some used cloth and textile was sent to Africa, and the traders in Africa would do some re-embroidery. They would remodify that fabric and sell it locally. So that is some kind of remanufacturing, and it's been done like a couple hundred years ago, or a few hundred years ago. So there are successful cases. So I think it's about, you have to maybe focus on find that narrow customer base that likes your products. I think that's the key. Yeah, don't aim too wide. You need to find some group that you can make a beautiful products out of it, and people will like it and buy it. Yeah.
I have to find that hipster niche, you mean to say, like find them in that big city.
Yes, in Shanghai and a lot of big cities, every weekend in the summertime, there's a lot of these flea markets, people selling DIY stuff and so on. And then there's always one stand selling vintage secondhand and remake. And there's always a group of people looking around. It's always there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Vincent. Yeah, it's the same in Taiwan, actually. We also have all this type of flea market, and people really like all these reproduced or like vintage clothes and garments in a flea market as well. And I think, yeah, it's important that, how to find, repurpose, and also to find the new life of the garments, and then find a niche market for it, and start from the small, like, all the entrepreneurs do, right? For the you start from the minimum viable products, and then you start from the small, and then try to find your new process and a new purpose and new customer, and then to enlarge the business. Yeah, it's a
Yeah, the one I know in China is that they are from the same hometown. So they have a small studio in their hometown. 3-4 designers work together, all loves remake. So they all work together, and then they will go to these flea market and sell some online and flea market. So they don't need to hire extra workers. They just make within on their own, and then they can survive in that way. Yeah.
awesome. Okay. So anyone has more questions?
Yeah, I do.
Yes,
Thanks,
please,
Vincent. Yes, it's a really, really impressive presentation. Especially, I love the way when you describe the tech for good, because I think technology is not how does it technology is the way to make our life to get more convenient and better, but it doesn't not to take the control of our life. So I like the way you describe that. For the overproduction part, because I know some of friends, customers, they are talking about upcycle. Yeah, especially like in Japan, they have some designer try to do something good for the society, for the world we live. So they know the main manufacturer factories are based in Southeast Asia. So they try to buy the stock from the Southeast Asia, and that is one way to do that, to help us to consume those overproduction products. But another thing is that I'm curious. I'm not an expert of this part, but I'm curious. Is that like a virtual clothes, or virtual like a virtual fashion, digital fashion could help a little with that? Because as we know, why they do the overproduction is because the consumers need more stimulus or more, they need to attract the consumers to buy, so they have to produce a lot of things. So maybe digital fashion could be another way, because we can, especially for those people, especially young generation, they are quite used to like Instagram, TikTok, to show their outfit, to show their life. So how do you think? I think this question is also for Cheng.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes you need to make a collection, right? And the collection needs to has stories in it, this story and that story, and a lot of time, and then you need a few pieces of different garments to support that story. So you have, and not all the pieces that sells well in that story, right? So you always have some that sells well and don't sell well, and then some of them end up having too much inventory. Yeah, consumers buying behavior is very unpredictable. A lot of times I ask my clients, it's like, hey, why did that style sell so well? They don't know. They just give some guess. Maybe the price is right. Maybe they don't know. They cannot give a very assertive, very strong answer. Yeah, that's the reason why it sells well. A lot of time they say, yeah, this is going to sell big. Yeah, can you give me a very good price on it? And it end up like not selling well. It happens for the past however many years I've been in this industry. So I don't know that can digital tech really help on this to reduce it. I hope so, but I think we still need a lot of time to see if that can happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for both of your answer.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
anyone has more questions? So if not, then I think today, thank you for Vincent coming to share your insights, and then having loads of like very good ideas about how to think more to improve our industry, and also to think all these entrepreneurial mindsets that we have to improve the world as well, and also the tech as a tool to help everyone. And then also we have to think, how to reduce all these waste and make it more sustainable, but in a kind of healthy way, rather than doing it just for doing. So thank you for your time, and then thank you for everyone. Let's see next time then.